4.
So do you want us to proceed, Daphne?
Yep, yeah, we're ready to start whenever you
Okay. So we'll call the meeting to order for the Zoning Board of Appeals at 5 p.m. on June 30th. The first order of business, has everybody had an opportunity to review the meeting minutes from our last meeting, and do you have any comments? Oh, first I'm supposed to take a roll call.
Sure, I'll do it. Ballwig.
Here.
Reisliger.
Here.
Wolford. You said was not coming, right?
He might be late, I'm not sure.
Veronica.
Here.
Mangus.
Here.
Okay, those are the ones we have present. No alternates present.
Thanks for that, Mark. So back to the meeting minutes. Any comments?
They seem good to me. I'd motion to accept.
Okay.
A
So
second.
Justin made a motion to approve, and I think that was John seconded, correct?
Yes. Yep.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So motion passes to accept the meeting minutes from the last meeting. Daphne or Mark, do you have any other business that we need to discuss?
No, nothing that. Go ahead.
Sorry, is 4 enough for quorum? Or do
Yes,
we need the 5th? It is. Okay.
razor thin.
Just under the wire.
I just wanted to make sure before we started,
Right, Daphne, would you please read the agenda for this evening's meeting?
Sure. So for tonight, we have 6815 Donna Drive. The owners, Sue and Jim Campbell, are requesting a variance from the rear setback to build a garage addition on the west side of their property. The garage addition will measure 5.7 feet from the rear, which is also the western lot line measured to the roof overhang. And it will be built in tangent with a house addition for a first floor laundry room, updated kitchen and bathroom, to allow for them to kind of live in their house as they grow older. Section 10.24.6 requires a 30-foot rear setback. The house is built on a corner lot with Donna Drive as the front. However, section 10.150.31 states that in the case of a corner lot, the front shall be the shortest dimension. So due to this definition, the house fits within the side setback, but any addition to the garage requires a variance from the rear setback.
Thank you for that. And if there's any other members of the public that are on the call and they'd wish to speak, what we'll do in a minute, I'm going to open the public hearing. We'll first hear from the applicants and talk about the application, and you will have an opportunity to speak in favor or against at that time. So at this point, I'd like to open the public portion of the meeting at 5:03. And Daphne, thank you for reading that agenda item. Are there any site inspections or building inspection information from the city that we need to be aware of?
No, we don't have any additional inspection information.
Okay. Well, at this point, if the applicant is on the call, please state your name and you can begin with the presentation of your variance request.
All right.
We can hear you.
This is Sue Campbell, and we are the owner of the property. We have the list of the different things that we're planning on doing. Is there a specific questions that I should be answering?
What we ask you to do is to make the case. You have to make the case during the public hearing for the variance, why the variance should be granted. What's the hardship if the variance is not granted? This is your opportunity to state your case for the record. I know that you gave us application materials, so you can just summarize or cite those as you explain to the ZBA, the zoning board, why they should grant the variance. And I would also note that Mark Wolford, one of our zoning board members, has also just joined. So we have 5 present.
Okay.
Mark.
So Susan, you have the floor to go ahead.
We're interested in adding on to our garage just to have additional space. And this would be coordinated with the other addition that we're doing, the whole project to make our home bigger, add on to the kitchen and the bathroom. So I guess just for, to have additional space in our garage and ease of use.
So as I understand it, the addition is in the back of the house there and the garage addition is to the side. And it follows the side of the garage will parallel the side lot line.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Mark Opitz,
Yes.
when this house was built, where was there ever a 40-foot rear yard setback?
Well, first of all, it would have been a 30-foot. But yeah, that's one of the things, Daphne and I, when we looked at this application, that it is perplexing how that was done. This house was built before the current zoning code. So it's hard to say what the thinking was that went into it, but obviously it doesn't comply with our current zoning ordinance. I suppose
There's there's
No, go
nothing
ahead.
that would prohibit you from doing the rest of your addition to the back if the side garage was not granted, correct? They're essentially 2 separate projects. There's no linkage between them.
Technically, yes, that's correct.
So Mark Opitz, what have we determined? What have we determined the rear lot line is on this house?
Yeah, I'm just refreshing my memory with this one. There's a couple of ways one could look at this. What is the front for zoning purposes? When there's a corner, it's the shorter frontage, which clearly is Spring Hill Drive, Spring Hill Court, Spring Grove Court, Spring Grove Court. Even though it's not where the house is oriented, that is considered the front for zoning purposes. So that means the rear is opposite the front. The line isn't exactly parallel to the front lot line. But either way, so then when you don't have a parallel line, you can well, I would consider the western lot line to be the rear lot line. But Daphne, did we once discuss having an arc at the corner or not? Did we discuss that on this property?
Yeah, we did, but because it's usually for an arc, it's, when they have like a rounded rear setback or
Exactly.
something like that. Or if it comes to like a point at the corner where there should be a rear, and we thought, this is about like 10 to 15 feet. That's enough to be, not considered a point. So we considered the western line, the rear setback.
Yeah. Does that answer the question, Mark?
I guess we'll have to have more discussion when we're done here. Done with the public part.
So I have it.
I know City of Madison used to have a deal where, and maybe did Middleton ever have this, Mark, where you took the chord, which is the line between the 2 points of the curve on Donna Drive, and then ran a line parallel to that back through the lot until
Right.
it hit.
Right. I understand what you're saying, and it shows the chord on the drawing here, right below the word delta. But the thing is, we still have our ordinance that says the shorter of the 2 street frontages is the front.
Yeah.
So clearly that's Spring Grove Court. There's just no question about that. They're not even within 10% of each other. So once you've established where the front lot line is, then the rear is opposite.
Mhm.
So that is why we consider the west lot line to be the rear lot line. The current setback there is, looks like 17.2 is the nearest. Is the closest point to that rear lot line. The way the house functions, obviously, and just knowing that area, the conservancy is, if I recall, oh no, that's not the conservancy to the south, but obviously the southern part of that lot line, that really short line, really is what functions as the rear. And there is a 50, what is that, 56?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
51,
Yeah.
56-1.
You know, if we were able to consider that the rear lot line, that short segment down there at the bottom, which is probably, to answer your question, how the house is oriented with that in mind, then they would be able to have the west lot line have an 8-foot setback, which would be, I can't remember what the distance is. They're asking for a 5 feet 7 inches. So they still would need a variance either way, but the variance amount would be a lot less than what our strict interpretation is calling for.
Either way, the addition to the rear of the house with the bath and the stairs is pretty much okay.
Okay,
It looks like,
that's
me,
what
that-
we assume.
and I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
and they want to add on to the garage, and the garage is obviously where the word concrete is on the front
Right.
side of the house. The
Right.
garage isn't available to be added in the back of the property. So, you know, that is part of the conundrum here, is that's really the only side that has a garage. Well, that is the only side with the garage. That's the only place you could put a garage addition on the house.
I guess, Justin, is that why you asked whether these are treated separately? Because if they are,
Yeah, because
we
in
could
my
grant one
mind,
and
we can just disregard the whole back part of it, and we're really just focusing on the garage in and of itself.
I do have a question for Sue. In the application on the agenda, it mentions wheelchair access on the south side of the house. But I'm having a hard time finding some of that in the supporting documents. Can you explain a little bit about that? Are you going to be putting a ramp in?
No, we're not. I'm assuming that was in there just in case. Our builder is actually Jerome Gillis. I think he's actually in on. I can see that he's in on this
Yeah, he's
call.
here. Yep.
Yeah. No, we are not planning anything at this point.
Okay. So it's
To do
just
that.
wheelchair access in that addition so that you have more room to move around inside.
Correct.
Okay. And then the need for the added, so you have a 1-car garage right now, is that?
No,
Oh, it's a 2.
we have a 2-car right now. Yeah.
And what would you be doing with the added space in the garage?
We just are trying to add it on just for extra storage. We have like a ATV trailer and an ATV.
can you go back to the site plan, Daphne, please?
Are you still in the hearing, Mr. Chair? I'm not sure if we're.
Yes.
Are we still? Okay.
Since we're still in the public hearing portion, I just wanted to mention that we did get a statement from Darren Fortney, who
Yep.
lives at 6801 Donna Drive. And he says he fully supports the reinvestment in neighborhood properties. He also supports the variance request as he understands it.
Thank you. I was going to say that too.
And where is he located, Daphne? Is he one of the adjacent property owners or across the street?
I believe he's a couple houses down.
He's north at the corner with Century.
Yeah.
He's the house that has a carport, if you can picture it, on the west side of Donna and Century. He
Yeah.
and owns the
Yeah.
property and he rents it out.
With the sign that says, here's where the last dog did.
That sign is long deceased.
Oh, okay. Shows you my memory.
That sign was removed at least 2 years ago, I think.
We all remember
Yeah.
the sign though.
Paul, we do have a raised hand from Isabella and Ron. Is it straight?
Okay. Well, I guess before we take questions, is there anything else that the applicant would like to add, in the presentation? Just presenting your case for the variance before we open it up to public comment?
I don't think so. I think it's pretty well stated, and I don't really have anything additional to add.
Okay. At that point, if there's anyone that would like to, I see we do have a hand raised. Thanks for pointing that out, Mark. If you could please state your name and where you are associated to the property, and then you can certainly comment.
This is Ron Straight and
Isabella Castaneda, I'm his wife.
we're at 6818 Donna, which is almost directly across the street and almost directly across from the proposed garage addition. And we have no objection. We fully support their request for a variance.
Correct. And I know their garage, and it would be nice for them to be able to put the cars in, especially with the thefts that have been happening around the area.
Thank you. Is there anyone else on the call that would like to speak? Are there other questions from the board of the applicant or anyone on the call?
I have a question. Mark, do we have any comments from the neighbor to the west where the proposed garage would be most encroaching his property?
I haven't received any. Daphne, have you? No?
No, I have not either.
Let me just see who that is.
Yeah, it's Jim Stubbe. And we've talked to him several times. He has no issues with it, if you are taking my word for it. But he's not really well informed, or wanted to do Zoom, but he did tell us that he has no objections. And the property next to us on Spring Grove, which is the first duplex, they also don't have any objections.
Well, thank you for reaching out to them. Unfortunately, without written documentation, like an email or something like that, I'm not exactly certain that we can.
Well, they were notified. They had an opportunity to participate, but I
Okay.
understand what you're saying, Paul.
So then we take
Okay.
their silence, meaning that they're supportive?
Not
You can-
necessarily.
Or neutral, right? They're not
We're out of the country.
objecting.
Yeah, right, okay. Yeah, I said, by the way, they're not objecting. Okay. You know what I was trying to get at. Okay.
All right.
Do we have, and Sue, you're saying this is just for extra storage. Scale wise, the front elevation drawing didn't really look to scale. If you just went, is this measurement the 6.2? Is that 6.2 feet or 6 foot 2 inches? I mean, 0.2 feet, we'd have to be British or something.
I believe it is feet, and then it's like 5, I think it was 5 something to the eaves.
Okay, so that's what I'm getting at. And that is an 8 foot setback required now? We determined that's a side yard, right?
Well,
If it
no.
was
That's a conundrum.
Yeah, so either way, because of the distance that they want, because of the size of the addition, they would need a variance. but interpreting it as a rear setback would mean that the current garage is, the current structure is already non-conforming. That would be that's our interpretation.
Oh, I thought we interpreted the small lot line across from the arc
No,
as the rear.
I'm saying that's how it essentially functions, but that's not our zoning code.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry, I
It's all right.
misunderstood that.
And I'm
Do we have
quite
any
certain that-
elevations other than that rough sketched front elevation? I know that it's hard to roof a addition that's angled like that. Any other views? Anthony?
Well, to the elevation comment, Mark, yeah, it's a hand sketch, and it's 15 feet on the front face, which I think is substantially a little bit more than what is illustrated in that hand sketch.
Right.
Yeah, and Jerome he was the one that I had mostly been contacting. I don't know if he has anything to add, or if he has a microphone or something to share.
Well, if he does, I have a question for him. How wide is the existing overhead garage door? It looks like it's maybe only a 12-footer or something. Or Sue, do you know that?
Just a second. Yeah, come over here. I'm just actually get my husband to come over here.
Sure.
Could
Can
you
you
ask the
comfortably,
question?
can you
Could
pull
you
two
ask the
cars?
question?
Can you pull two cars into that garage right now? Or we're trying to find out
Yeah.
how wide the existing overhead garage door is.
Oh, why does the existing overhead garage door?
16 feet.
Oh, it is a 16-footer. Okay.
So do your cars sit outside in the winter?
No, they don't.
Okay.
It's just for extra space. No, we can get our vehicles in.
Okay.
You would then be pouring another concrete
Driveway.
little addition to the driveway to get you into the new area.
A short one, yes.
Yeah.
So right now, the front is shown in the plan is like 15 feet. And if your intention is only to get an 8-foot garage door so that you could pull in a trailer or another car, I think the 15 feet might be excessive. And if that was potentially reduced to less than that, and as a committee, if we decided that maybe since due to the odd nature of the lot, that we'd be comfortable using the side setback, that could maybe be within the 8 feet to the overhang. Just the 15-foot 3 seems quite wide for if you're trying to add a single 8-foot standard garage door, 9-foot standard garage door.
Well, even an 8-foot is standard for a third car garage, I mean,
Yeah. Absolutely. Sorry, Sue, I'm having a little hard time hearing you if you're responding.
I'm sorry. I was talking to someone in the background.
So what you're starting to suggest, Justin, is that the side yard setback be used in this case as opposed to what Mark is saying is the strict interpretation of zoning. And if we did that and
Yeah,
said 8 feet is the setback and allowed construction out, if they designed out to 8 feet, they wouldn't need a variance. If they went beyond 8 feet, they need a variance for that additional.
well, I think they'd still need the variance because I think the only hardship I'm seeing here, Bob, is the odd lot size, and I don't think a third garage door is necessarily a hardship. But I think the odd nature of this, and since the house's front is down a drive, right? It's the lot's front, according to our zoning code, is the shortest distance, but I think this could be considered an odd lot size for this neighborhood and shape. And we could use that as our hardship and say then, because of this hardship, I think we could use this back lot and use the side lot dimension of 8 foot instead of the 40 feet or whatever is required. That's my thought.
I see what you're saying. So I guess before we go any further, is there any other questions for the applicant? Because then I'll close the public portion and we'll deliberate as a board. If there isn't, hold that thought, Justin. Then we'll close the public portion at 5:26 and we can continue to discuss as a board.
Well, Mark Opitz, do we have the authority to say which is the rear and the side? Or is that? strictly zoning?
No, this is clear. It's clear that what the rear is. I do, for what it's worth, I do like the direction in which Justin is suggesting. The way this functions, because of the way the lot dimensions, you said size, but I think you meant the overall lot dimensions, the configuration.
Yeah,
of the
correct.
lot, Justin. Clearly, if you look at it from the street and the way the property functions, that functions like a side yard. And applying a standard of a side yard setback would be compatible. If you go down the street, it would look like it's a side yard. No one knows what everyone assumes the rear yard's behind the house when viewed from down the drive. So I do think that that's a good rationale. The other point that you made, though, is this is an unusual, to have a 2-car garage and then have a hardship to go to a 3 is a little bit hard to make that argument, but that's obviously up to you. But if you do that in concert with the lot dimensions, I think that's the safest route to go.
I'd almost like to just not have, just use the lot dimensions as the hardship.
Right, I understand.
Because I feel like a 3rd car garage is someone, including myself, may say that's out of character for a lot of these neighborhoods. And maybe I understand the need for storage. Everybody always needs more storage, but I think, we've made the exception from a 1-car to a 2-car before. And I think that makes sense with, modern families having, if a 2-income household has 2 cars and they need to get to work, right? But for storage alone, but I think if they reduce the size so that they can fit within the 8-foot side setback, and I like your verbiage, Mark, just saying that, it's not going to be out of place. Anybody coming down a drive is going to feel this is the side of this house, right? Not the back of the house. And use that as our limiting factor so they can still get their garage that they want, but maybe a little smaller than the 15-foot 3 addition.
I think I agree with that. If this is just meant for storage of like a snowmobile or something, or a recreational
ATV,
vehicle, it doesn't need an 8-foot overhead garage door. In fact, you could actually probably take it in the existing garage door and just slide it around, move it around to store it, as opposed to adding another door. But see, they're saying 11 feet. If they ran it parallel to the existing house, I see in the back there, it's 11 feet out. What if it was 8 feet out or 9 feet out? That'd make it 8.2.
And make it parallel to the house?
And make it parallel to the house.
Yep.
And then you wouldn't even need a variance.
Well, I think in any case, if they're going to add the garage, they need a variance because the interpretation of it is that is the rear. So
Right.
I think they need a variance if they're gonna add on to the garage at all.
Yeah, because it's a non-conforming existing condition right now. If that's a rear yard, it doesn't comply with the interpretation of zoning.
Right.
So it's a non-complying existing condition. But, I mean, the way Mark, you and Justin are both thinking, it seems I would be supportive of the idea of being able to do an addition on there, considering that as the setback limitation that's defined for a side, even though it's a rear. I mean, for additional storage, I kind of like Mark's idea that you could use the existing garage doors and move things around within the garage and gain your storage space. Those seem reasonable to me.
So looking at the front of the house, personally, I feel like since I believe that they could get a standard size garage door in
Can you
with
show
a
that elevation?
reduced size or dimension in the front, I wouldn't restrict putting that additional garage door.
Daphne, could you show that elevation, please? From the front, just the photo. The one with the, where they drew the addition.
And I don't know how much, to scale any of this is, but looking at that new garage door, that looks more than half of the 16-foot that they have now. Plus there seems to be several feet right on either side.
Plus,
And
if you
is-
look at those pictures, there's no overhang on those gables.
That's why I'm saying that, they can get by with the structure of the foundation being probably 8 foot 6 inches.
Yep.
And the 6-inch overhang, is not restricting it too much. I do have another building concern though. Are we talking about leaving it as, what is it, 15 feet they wanted to add across the front?
Mhm.
Daphne, site plan? Are we thinking about trying to shorten that?
Yeah, that's what I would
Yeah.
be.
I am
I
too.
I would recommend that instead of the 6.2 feet that they have shown, I would recommend that we allow up to the 8 foot to the eve per the side setback in our zoning code and use that as our, what we would approve under.
Yeah, I would think that makes a lot of sense.
So 13.
Based,
The-
based
the other
on the hardship of the geometry of the site, right?
Based on the hardship of the geometry and the orientation of the front of the house towards Donna Drive.
You'd basically be taking the 6'2" that's shown on this diagram, saying that's gonna be 8 feet. And so 11 feet is gonna be slightly less than 9 feet.
Yeah, depending on their overhang, they might have to be 8 foot 6 inches. 8.5.
Sure.
So that would be 2.5, 3.5. No, 8.5. 2.5. They'd lose 2.5 feet from that 11.
Yep.
Now, the one thing I'm just to bring this up, the more we shorten this garage, if they put that overhead door garage on or overhead door, and you're angling the garage back, there comes a time when you cannot open that door up into the ceiling
Mm-hmm.
because it will hit the sidewall.
That would be up to their builder to figure out if we're allowing them that variance for the 8'2", they could run that wall parallel to the existing house.
Yeah, it looks like at least from here, right, they're coming flush off the front, so they're gonna have to reside, that front to make it match up or do something there. So there's no reason why the garage door couldn't be, kind of right. It wouldn't necessarily need to be centered within the new space, like it could be further to the
I
east.
mean, as you look at it, that end wall of the existing garage is gonna come off,
Right.
and the wall, the walls that are being extended are your bearing walls for your trusses. And you could cut back in, you know, if you looked at that frontal view where the existing garage door is, there was probably a couple feet between
Yep.
the end wall and the jamb of the existing garage door. You could probably frame that to allow that new garage door to encroach to the right of where the current end wall is and solve it that way.
Yeah, I think there's ways for sure.
Well, the other option, if the Campbells were willing, would be not to put an overhead garage door on the front.
Sure. Yep.
And then they wouldn't have to worry
Yeah,
about it.
another- Yep,
And then you
that's
just
another-
jockey the trailer around through the existing door. Put a window in the front and make it look, you know, so it's not quite as 3-car garage looking. Are Sue and Jim still there?
So
Sue,
Yeah, it looks like Sue's still on.
Would that be an option, Sue?
So you're being asked a question if you're there.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we hear you now.
Okay. Yes, that would certainly be an option.
But, you know, but reducing the size of that addition, you know, to allow you, 8 foot, 5 inches
Okay.
from the side, right?
Yes. Yeah, we're willing to work with whatever is decided.
6.
So did you guys say, I'm talking to the board members, so that end, the west side of the house is load bearing, right? Obviously, because of the, I mean, that's a load bearing wall, right?
No.
no,
it's not.
The north
Front
and
the
the
back.
thing
south.
that's holding up is the rest of the wall, the gable end of that wall.
Can you go to the elevations, please, Daphne?
Yeah.
I'm obviously not an architect, and that's why we have you guys on this board. It's great. So you're saying, oh, okay, I understand. So it's on the front and on the back of the garage is where the roof, where the trusses sit. So that
Right.
makes the expansion to the east, or I'm sorry, not east, to the right is what I meant to say. That makes it quite easy, and you can, that wall that's there is not load bearing except for at the front and back.
Right.
Right.
Okay, got it. Well, that's convenient.
Yep, and Sue said that she would work with us, and so where that sketch is showing a door, Mark suggested maybe it's a window. And so it sounds like she's open to considering that. So I think what we're heading towards is saying we would be willing to have a condition where there was a side yard setback accommodated, so 8 foot or 8'6" would be the side or rear lot line.
Are you making a motion, Bob?
I'm
There's
trying
no other
to,
discussion.
I'm trying to like describe it so that
Yeah.
makes sense.
I guess, yeah, I don't think we need a contingent on if they're at a door or a window or a man door. or
Right,
what-
yeah.
What they do. I think we can probably leave that portion out of it and let them and their architect decide, but yeah, I think you're on, that's what I was trying to describe, Bob, is the 8 foot side setback.
The other
Using
thing
that
it would do,
as-
oops. The other thing it would do, Sue, is you wouldn't have to pour more concrete driveway.
Right.
If you did not put an overhead
Okay.
garage door there, you would just use your existing, which looks pretty new to me.
It is.
Good
We
point,
just
Mark.
put it in, when they did, we did Donna Drive, 2 years ago? Yeah, 2
Mhm.
years ago. Yeah,
Mhm.
then we took out our old one. Yeah, so it's only 2 years old.
And would you have the roof eaves then parallel to the existing eaves? not, I don't, eaves isn't the right word, the truss, but so you wouldn't have an angled you wouldn't have an angle on that side of the house, you'd have it be square, right?
Well, they could angle it still,
Yeah, it could still angle.
Okay,
because the angle follows the lot line, and so if it's 8 foot 6 inches to the foundation.
okay. I just want to be clear on what your intent was. As long as no part of the structure is, as long as no part of the structure is closer than 8 feet from the
Right.
west lot line. That's,
Right.
Are we saying 8 feet or 8 feet 6?
8 feet would be to the overhang.
right.
I think that's the verbiage we should use.
So we're
Yeah.
calling it a 8-foot setback from the lot line. And then, that's the roof overhang, fine, that the wall would have to be a little further away.
Well, just to bring up a thing, you architects in the group know how hard it is to do a roof like this with a slope, with an
Yes.
angle.
Yeah,
I mean, they might be a lot happier just going parallel to the existing garage.
But you're leaving it up to them to do that.
Yeah, we can leave that up to them.
Yep.
but
Yeah.
I'm
It'd
just kind
probably
of-
be easier to construct and more usable inside.
yeah, not to mention your roof framing and your roofing.
I guess if there's not any further discussion, I'd like to make a motion to allow an 8-foot setback to the nearest point of the building under the hardship of the unique lot configuration for this neighborhood and the orientation of the front of the house to Donna Drive.
I'll second that motion.
Well, we also, in the motion, we're also looking at are we addressing at all the addition to the rear or?
No, that's all.
It will comply. It's
Yep.
not a variance topic.
So Justin made a motion. John, was that you that seconded it?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay. Is there any other discussion or comments to the variance? And Mark, did you have any questions? Opitz?
No, but I'll read it back to you.
Okay.
So to allow, to grant a variance that allows the garage addition as long as all components of the structure are set back at least 8 feet from the west side lot line, with the rationale being the unique lot configuration and orientation of the front of the house to Donna Drive.
Correct.
Yeah.
Sounds
I
good to
think
me.
that kind of
Sounds good.
summarizes it. Okay.
Okay,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so motion, the variance is granted.
I mean,
Okay.
it's modified from what you requested, but you
Right.
got a
Right.
variance tonight, and
Right.
it's basically so that the house will essentially function as a side lot line. That's what you got approved, and I think that's a very reasonable outcome. So.
okay,
it's
Right,
worth
but
it.
they have to fit within that everything has to fit within that 8-foot setback.
Yep.
setback, okay, I've noted that. All right,
So the plan has to be redrawn to reflect that before you go in. for-
Okay.
And you'll need a zoning permit issued by city staff. Usually Daphne issues those. And so you can revise your drawing, and once it's to our satisfaction, then we can issue the zoning permit, and then that goes to the building inspector for the building permit.
If you need a
Okay.
clarification, call Mark Opitz.
All right,
and so, and if we decided at this point then not to do anything with, if we totally take that out of our plan and just go with the addition on the back, can we go directly, can we just skip the zoning permit and go directly to getting a building permit?
You'll still need a zoning permit for the rear addition. You don't have to come back to this committee or anything like that for it, but you'll still have to submit a permit, a zoning and building permit.
Zoning and a permit, okay, all right, I just wanted to clarify that.
Mhm.
But you don't
All
need a
right.
variance for anything in the back of the house.
You will need a little more complete plans though to get a building
Yes.
permit, I think. I mean, this is a very preliminary sketch. Just so
Okay,
you
so
know,
we
Sue.
need, okay, all right, I'll talk to Jerome. Okay,
Very good, very good.
Thank you. Are there
All
any
right.
other? Thank you, Sue. Is there
You're welcome.
any other business from
Just-
Mark or Daphne or board members?
No, but just to clarify, I had the motion written in two different ways based on an earlier discussion. With the rationale being based on the unique geometry of the lot or the configuration of the lot? Which one did you want to say?
Configuration is probably the one we use more often.
Okay,
I think geometry of the lot and the configuration of the house.
that's
Maybe,
kind of what I was thinking too. The rationale based on the unique geometry of the lot and the orientation
Of the existing house.
the front of the house to John Drive. Is that okay with everyone? And did you even vote on the motion yet?
We did.
Oh, we did.
Good.
Unanimous.
Yep.
Okay, are those revisions acceptable? Is that the spirit of the motion?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Mark,
thank you.
before we leave, I'd like to talk to you.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll motion to adjourn.
Right, and there's John, and I think Bob was the second.
Yep.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you,
Have
everybody.
a nice holiday, guys.
Yep.
Thanks,
Yeah.
everyone. Take care.
4th of July.
Take care.